for joining me today. We are going to have some fun reviewing and going over some skills so that while you are reading until we get back to school, you can review your text features, but you can also know cause and effect. But let me make sure I tell you this. I have missed you so very much, and I am so excited to be able to share with you, and I can't wait to see you. Now, today we're going to be working with text features. We're going to review first, and then we are going to actually do a lesson on cause and effect. So let's get started. First of all, there are many types of text features that are embedded in fiction and nonfiction passages. One is sequencing, compare and contrast, cause and effect, problem solution, and there's one I didn't display, which is describing. When we have text features, there are words that help us to know or signal what is going to happen. These signal words can be found embedded in your text. For example, if I am looking at a description, I might see words such as, for example, for instance, in addition, specifically. If I'm looking at a passage that is problem solution, I might see words such as a result, since, so, leads to. On comparing contrast, I see words as the same as, like, different, similar, both. On the other hand, if I'm sequencing, I might see words like first, next, then, finally. And if it is cause and effect, I might see words that help to signal me, such as since, as a result, causes, consequently, and therefore. We're going to look at some short passages to review, and you have to decide what type of passage this is. So let's look at our objectives for today. Our objectives for today is, first, we're going to just look at the structure of text features. We're just going to refresh our mind. Second, we're going to recognize the relationship between cause and effect. And this will lead you to writing an informative or an opinion text. And it could actually help you complete a graphic organizer when we get back to school. In our first passage, you will notice that I have some words that are red. And these words are clues to help us determine the text structure. Let's look at this short passage. Sports at Erickson. There are two popular sports played at Erickson, basketball and volleyball. Both take place inside a gym at Erickson. Also, each sport has two teams of people. In basketball, however, the ball can be played off or on the floor. And in volleyball, the ball cannot touch the floor, or it is out of play. Basketball and volleyball are popular sports at Erickson. Okay, now using these two words to help us, we have to decide the text structure. Is the text structure describing, sequencing, compare and contrast, or problem solution? Using that, if you chose compare and contrast, you are correct. Great job. Now let's go to the next passage. Passing classes. Notice that I've underlined a portion or a sentence within the paragraph. This is our clue to help us. A lot of students have been failing classes. These students wouldn't be failing classes if they studied more, asked more questions, tried harder, and came for extra help. Even though a lot of students fail classes, they have many options if they want to pass. Now, why don't you think as our boy is in the picture? Is this short passage Is it describing, problem solution, comparing contrast, or cause and effect? If you chose cause and effect, great job! That is correct. Now let's look at one more passage, and it is called Deviled Eggs. Now you notice the clue words are in red. This will help us to determine the text structure. Pop out or remove the yellow yolks to a small bowl and mash with a fork. Add mayonnaise, mustard powder, vinegar, salt, pepper, and mix thoroughly. Fill the empty egg whites with the mixture and sprinkle lightly with paprika. Cover lightly with plastic wrap and refrigerate for up to 1 day before serving. So looking at this passage that we might find in a cookbook, is this passage describing cause and effect, problem solution, or sequencing? If you chose sequencing, you made the best choice. Now let's focus on our lesson today, which is cause and effect. As you're looking at this picture, keep in mind you want to find what is the cause and what could be the effect. But first, let's look at the definition of what is cause. Cause is what makes something to happen. To find the cause, you need to ask yourself, what happens first? So looking at this picture, you have to decide what happened first. Is it picture number 1, picture number 2, or picture number 3? If you chose picture number 2, that is the cause. Effect, we need to know just as well as we need to know what a cause is. Effect is what happens due to the cause. To find the cause, you need to ask yourself, what happened second? So we know that the cause was the striking of the match. What is the effect? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Well, this has a twofold effect. If I do not use picture number 1 first to light the candle, then there will not be an effect because the match will die. So there can be more than one effect. So in this pictures, there are 3 effects. To put them in order, it should be picture number 1, picture number 3, and picture number 2. So our cause that we have found out was the match, and the effect which started the burning of the candles was the girls lighting the candle. Cause and effect. Our cause, we lit the candle. The effect, after a period of time, that candle will melt down. Now there are signal words that we are going to review which signal cause and effect. Some of our signal words are since, as a result, because of, because, therefore, due to, so, for this reason. These signal words are to help us with what we are going to be doing. First, we are going to look at these 2 pictures. We studied in history about the pilgrims. There are 2 pictures. Picture number 1, I see many people gathered together. They're eating. In picture number 2, I see people dressed similar to the pictures in number 1, but I also see a ship in the background. What is the cause? Is it picture number 1 or picture number 2? If you decided picture number 2, you are correct. Picture number 2 is the cause. Let's go to a moment in history which we talked about in our last unit. I see 2 pictures. I see no taxation without representation, and I see the Boston Tea Party. Now, this time, I am going to ask, what is the cause and what is the fact? If you choose picture number 1 or picture number 2, which one is the cause? Picture number 1 or picture number 2? Looking at the pictures, picture number 1 is actually the cause. The citizens were not being able to be represented. So the effect, you're right, was the Boston Tea Party, when they dressed themselves up as Indians and went aboard and threw the tea into Boston Harbor. So the words at the top were meant to trick you. So we must be very careful in what we do. Now, looking at this picture, let's look carefully. When we did our gallery walks, we had to look to decide some things. Looking at this picture, I see a banana. I see a person that's in midair. So what is the effect in this picture? Is the effect the banana? Or is the effect the man in the air, it looks like falling? You are right. The effect in this picture is the man falling. What caused him to fall? Yes, that slippery, nasty banana. Good job. Looking at this picture, we look very carefully. I see a lady on the phone. And in the background, I see a car, and I see smoke, and I see the hood raised. So in this picture, what do you think is the cause? I'll give you a moment to think. Yes, the cause in this picture is that the car is smoking. It overheated, and she could not go any further. The effect, can you tell me what the effect is? Yes, it is that she has to call for help. Looking at this picture, we may be downtown in an old building, and if I look carefully, I see some brick wall. I see a window where it's been broken out, and if I look even closer, I see a rock. In this picture, what is that rock? Is that rock the cause, or is that rock the effect? Yes, you are correct. The rock is the cause. But what is the effect that the rock did? Very good. It dropped out the window. Look at this funny picture. I see a man. It looks like he's in an office or in his home in a work area. I see that there's a ladder. I see a bulb in the ceiling, and it looks like he's falling. Can you tell me what was the cause? If you told me the ladder slipped, you are correct. Great job. You hit it. Okay, looking at the next picture. This man is blowing and blowing on this balloon. What will happen if he continues to blow on this balloon? Think to yourself, what is the effect? Yes, it will get bigger, but if he continues to blow and blow and blow, the ultimate effect is what? You guessed it. It's going to pop. Hey, looking at this picture, I see a Miami Heat basketball player. And what is the effect that he is trying to accomplish? Yes, he is doing a slam dunk. Now, we're going to look at some passages in very short sentences. And if you notice, there are words in blue. Those words in blue, we're going to decide, are they cause and effect? Now, I would like for you to grab a piece of paper and pencil real quick and see if you get your answers correct. Looking at number 1, you are going to have to decide. Tim forgot his math book, so he was unable to complete his work. Tim forgot his math book. Is Tim forgot his math book, cause, or effect? Would you write down what that is? Number 2, Keegan was hungry because he skipped lunch. He skipped lunch. Would you write down for number 2? Is that cause or is that effect? And number 3, Erin's car had a flat tire, so she called a tow truck. Is she called a tow truck the cause or is it the effect? Would you write that down? Now let's go back and check our answers. On number 1, if you wrote Tim forgot his math book is the cause, you are correct. Good job. Just because it's first doesn't always mean it's cause. Remember, you have to think what happened first really in your mind. Okay, number 2, he skipped his lunch. Now, I notice it's at the end of the sentence, but I have to think to myself, what would make him hungry? So he skipped his lunch is the cause again. For number 3, check your answer. She called a tow truck. Is called a tow truck cause or effect? If you chose effect, you are correct. Let's try 2 more. So for number 4, we're looking at the blue one more time. Gina couldn't find the cookies because Papa hid them in the cupboard. Would you write down what Gina couldn't find the cookies? Would you tell me if it's cause or effect? For number 5, Kelly studies his spelling words and she got an A on the test. Is she got an A on the test the cause or the effect? Looking at this passage, let's go back and let's see if we can check our answers and see if you got them all correct. For number 4, Gina couldn't find the cookies. Gina couldn't find the cookies. Notice the word because. Gina couldn't find the cookies is actually the effect on this one. Now remember, just because it's first doesn't always mean it's cause. And number 5, Kelly studies her spelling words and she got an A on the test. She got an A on the test. If you chose that she got an A on the test as the effect, you did a great job. Okay? As we come to the end of the lesson, I want you to think of some cause and effect that you have in your everyday life. In history, we studied about the American Revolution and how we became a country and our flag was created as a symbol of our independence. We also know that there's cause and effects with buildings where the buildings get older, they begin to corrode. We also know there's cause and effect in football with tackling and fumbling, and that means whether people win or lose the game. But let's make it current. What is the cause of us being home right now? How is the coronavirus affecting our everyday life? Or we can even think about the tornado that has happened in Arkansas just last night. For you to have an exit ticket, if you will write on your piece of paper 2 examples of cause and effect that are going on right now in our community, in our families, or maybe just in your house. And if you will take a picture and send it to me to my website at cissompj@scsk12.org, I will be glad to check and see if your answer is correct. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. I hope you have a great night. Can't wait to see you again.